Hello, it's Philip Taylor speaking from Richmond, Green Chambers in London. Today I'm looking at a book which has come to us from Edward Elgar Publishing. Edward Elgar are an independent publishers based in Cheltenham, I believe. I think it's Cheltenham. No, actually, yes it is. The Lippiats in Cheltenham. They produced an interesting book here called EU Regulation of E-Commerce. Described as a commentary, now in a second edition. It's been edited by two people, Arno R. Lodder and Andrew D. Murray. This is the book here. Elizabeth was the main writer for this review, and we've given the title of the review the following: an invaluable source of reference for practitioners, academics and policymakers involved with matters pertaining to e-commerce and the European Union. Obviously that's a fairly substantial and fairly wide-ranging commentary about the book. Let's have a look at it first. So it's a hardback. There it is there. That's the spine. And then on the back there are various quotes from various people about the book, obviously in the second edition, so the first edition was extremely popular, and obviously during that time there have been a lot of changes. If we go to the back of the book, you can see the index there, which is nicely set out. It's done by paragraph numbering, which is very much the house style of the publishers. They don't actually say that, but you can see that it is actually by paragraph numbering. And you can see the actually just right at the back, you can see the paragraph numbering there. And if we go to the front of the book, it's 500 odd pages long. That's the first page there. Then there's some information about Elgar Commentaries, because there are a number of books in the series which are extremely helpful. Then you've got the basic blurb there. And after that we get to the basic information about the book, and then the contents section. You can see it's set out. It's very, very complex. Very much part of the European Union approach to things, with regulations, directives, and so forth. There are 13 chapters and an index. Then what you after the basic content section, you have a detailed content section, which should allow you to find what you're looking for in some detail. You can see how it's done. It's paragraph numbering again. So you have the chapter number and then the numbers after it. So, for instance, electronic payments and consumer protection, chapter 12, very important. So it's 12.1 and so forth. You get the general idea. Then there's a large number of contributors. I can't mention all of them. A lot of people involved in this. You can see from the list there. Large number of people. Then you get into a preface. Preface is very important, of course. There are some footnotes, you can see those at the bottom. And then after the preface, which is dated the 3rd of March 2022, by the way, the preface. Then after that you've got case law, which is reasonably good. And it's also, you've got also the European Court of Human Rights and overseas judgments as well. Then the table of legislation. Again, European legislation and so forth, split all the way through. You can see how complicated it is. You should be, depending on what you're looking for instance, you've got EC regulations there which are mentioned. You should be able to find what you want. Then you have the book itself. So you see chapter 1, you've got a little mini index about what's in it, and then you go straight into the work itself. It says, welcome to the new edition of this book. Well, very nice of them to start off that way. There have been many developments since the previous edition was published in 2017, and of course this book appeared in 2022, and I'm recording it in 2023, the review. But what do we say? We say, well, recently revised and much expanded, this excellent work on EU regulation and e-commerce, very important area of course of law now, contains in one convenient volume no less than 13 analytical and information-rich articles on key European Union legislation pertaining to electronic commerce, including 7 directives and 3 regulations. This is nothing if not an extremely useful and easy to read research resource. And I say that because e-commerce is very much to the fore now, and it will continue to be like that for some considerable period to come. It's also an important publication because it's part of the expanding Elgar Commentaries series from Edward Elgar Publications. Discussed and analysed in detail are examples of pivotal legislation, including a wide range of topics and concerns which cover, for example, copyright, open internet access, digital content, competition law, electronic payments, which is towards the end, electronic identification ID, in other words, and consumer rights. The fact that this work is of investigation and analysis is now in its second edition is probably a testament, and arguably a testament, to the value of the well-substantiated commentary provided by an impressive range of 15 expert contributors, and their details are at the front of the book. And of course the two distinguished editors are the lead for this. That's Arno Lodder, who comes from the Amsterdam Law and Technology Institute, and Andrew Murray, who is the director of the Law, Technology and Society Research Group at the LSE, the London School of Economics. Key issues which are discussed in the book cover the whole range of areas, but one of course is very important, is security. Then you have freedom of speech and cybercrime. Then you have algorithms, big data. Notice that word big data has a specific meaning. The Internet of Things, and of course much more. And of course all the usual suspects are here depending on what you're looking for. So this book is very much a 21st century book and dealing with this area of work, which for older people will probably be a bit more confusing, but certainly for the current generation who are at the top of their game, I think they'll find this a very useful book. Interestingly, the editors have noted that, quote, the European Union has a long history of investment in and encouragement for and development of electronic commerce, very important area, and for over 25 years has established a strong and mostly coherent regulatory framework for the e-commerce sector. Now, I think that's true, although there are a lot of people who are not quite so happy about e-commerce for a lot of reasons. But I think it's obviously here to stay, and it is going to be the future. So therefore, the sooner we get used to it, we make sure we have some sort of regulatory framework that works, the better. Quote, the EU interest in e-commerce, the editors add, dates from about November 1996, although at the time the European Union was apparently extolling the virtues of postal services as essential to the development of communication infrastructure in the Union. Now, of course, most of that has gone. We've had COVID, we've had a lot of other things, but frankly, the way in which the concept of the Royal Mail works is changing quite quickly, even as I speak, and we can see that there will be very big changes in this second decade of the 21st century. Subsequent commentaries within the book, however, have modified this stance, focusing on what they now call a specifically objective assessment of European Union regulation of diverse forms of media within the EU. And that's really what you've got basically today. Now let me summarise this by saying that definitely this volume, over 525 pages, including the bits and pieces at the front, make it relatively simple to find what you might be looking for within this diverse range of subject matter. And it is quite a wide range of very modern practices. Note, for example, the 7-page extended contents tables, the detailed index of no less than 35 pages, and the extensive table of cases and of legislation. We think that practitioners involved with any aspect of media and internet issues would do well to acquire this book. And the date of publication of the hardback book is cited as at the 29th of November 2022. And I'm recording this, as I say, in 2023. There's the book again, and you can see from here that you've got the basic spine, and then at the back you've got some very substantial information about the main authors. And it says here, this unique work provides an dated account of the essential pieces of EU legislation on e-commerce. And that's exactly what you get. Just opening it in the middle, I've got here, this is a directive. In fact, let me go to something a little more interesting than that, which is what I certainly found the most interesting part of the book itself, which is electronic payments and consumer protection. You can see again there's a lot of information there, obviously looking very much at the way it's done. It's been written by Christine Riefer and Pamela Nika, and it's a chapter which focuses on the use of payment methods to buy goods and services online. And I think that sort of information is really important now that we've emerged from this dreadful pandemic, and we now see that the way in which we do our business is changing, and it's changing quite substantially as we talk. I'd like to thank everybody who's been involved in this book. Certainly professors, are they professors? Yes, they're both professors. Professors Lodder and Murray for the production of this work. And I do think it is a great help for anybody involved in e-commerce. So thank you very much to all concerned. Bye-bye.